Welcome to the E-Show with Neil Ravin. Founded in 2013, the EHL has become the college placement leader on the East Coast. Sit back and learn more about the next step in your junior hockey career.
Welcome to the E-Show, presented by the Penalty Box Foundation. The Foundation's mission centers around their daily motto, "We take care of our own," as they help out all of those within the hockey community who've experienced a catastrophic event. Learn more at penaltyboxfoundation.org. What's up? My name is Neil Ravin, and this is episode number 117 of the E-Show. On this week's episode, we kick off our 10th anniversary celebration with the 21-22 EHL Champions, the New Jersey 87's. The podcast starts with a conversation with the head coach and GM, Adam Houli, who admits that winning the franchise's first EHL title truly hasn't set in yet. Further along, we bring the E-Crew back together, and as we'll do with every team this summer, we select the top 10 players in franchise history. I'm joined now by Adam Houli, the head coach and GM of the EHL champion, New Jersey 87's. How's it going, Adam?
Hey, Neil. Good. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. Thanks for coming back on the podcast. And you heard me say it there, EHL champions. Has it set in yet for you?
No, it truly hasn't. It's one of those shock things where it hits you every couple of days, and you sit there and say, wow, I'm you're EHL champion. It is a crazy feeling. There's times where it really hits, and there's times where moving on to the next point. So, but it's been a fun off season and a fun, obviously last couple of weeks.
And it's funny because about a year ago, around this time, you were defending now EHLP champions because you won the EHLP title, then the EHL. Is this the progression that you always envisioned, or is it just how it played out?
I think it's a mix of both. We talked about it last year with you when we won the Premier, right? That was special to us because that's where we had started, and we're big in talking about starting the right way, doing it the right way, starting in Premier and then elevating ourselves. So when we won there, that was super special. And then the next year to follow it up with the EHL championship certainly makes us feel very excited, very proud as an organization to take that next step and do it in the EHL. So obviously it has to work. Everything has to come together for that to happen. But definitely, in our mind, kind of how we wanted to go after, winning championships in the league.
And let's go all the way back now to when you did start the 2017-18 season, which feels like forever ago now, 5 years, that you started, as you just mentioned, in the EHLP. How valuable was that time just kind of dipping your toe in and getting a taste of junior hockey at the EHLP level?
Yeah, I mean, it was everything. It's always what I always talk about when someone asks me that question, a new team or a new coach. It's everything. You have to learn the basics. You have to learn the complexities of the league. You have to learn everything from, I always say it, from travel to just day-to-day in-game operations, what to freak out about, what to be confident about, all that. So you have to learn, and it's the only way to set yourself up for success. And I think you've seen it in our league. The last couple of years, those who have won it have come a long way and have done a lot. So I think it's a real indicator is when you do pay your dues and you're organized and you've done everything the right way, you do get rewarded. And it's a difficult thing to win, but when you do it the right way, it works out for you.
And of course, that's the 2017-18 season. Next year, you add EHL, and I can now bring this up that you've won an EHL championship, but 18-19 ends in, you can call it heartbreaking fashion. 19-20, we can't even finish the playoffs. 2021, you make it to the Frozen Finals with the EHL team, just like your EHLP team, but you only won at the EHLP level. All of those 3 years of tough endings, did it all feel like a huge weight off your shoulders this year when you won it all?
Yeah, I mean, that was, something that's always been on your mind and something that's always there. Obviously, being upset on a team that we thought we were really confident with. And then COVID obviously hit and took away from everybody. And then last year, in what we felt was one of our strongest teams we had to date, not getting a chance to even get to Saturday, what was heartbreaking. And then, when the buzzer hits this year and you realize, like, oh, man, you're a champion, it really sets in. But I think it sets in when you're on the ice and all, your phone is blowing up from past players being so excited and so happy. That's when you feel like it's really kind of the top of the top, right? When everyone was there, everyone was watching, everybody was tuned in, following along, and we were able to finish that, right? And be able to win and become a champion. That's when it truly hits, and that's when it really hit, is when you picked up your phone and saw, a Tim Nador text, a Dante Taramani text, a Jack Lane, a Trevor Seer, those guys blowing up your phone right away. That's when it really felt, like we did something really spectacular.
When you sat on the bus and you looked at your phone, how many texts did you have?
I think I counted up to 128 text messages that I had that came in congratulations from, like I said, players, coaches, fellow coaches in the league, college coaches, family members, friends of family members. It was just a tremendous support and a tremendous outpouring of congratulations from us.
And you talk a lot about the learning experiences along the way. You brought a full staff with you to the finals this year. Was that based off what you had learned in years past?
I think, like we always said, it's something that we talked about quite a bit, and super being involved in that. And everything is a learning experience. I think that's the one thing we've learned about this league in our time here. You have to learn and you have to grow and adapt. So to us, every opportunity is a learning experience. And even now, being a champion, we have to now learn and adapt from that, how to come back out of it the year after.
And I know I asked you this in the post game afterwards, but you use the hashtag our time throughout the year, including when you had that losing streak going on in the middle of the season. Did it always, no matter what, feel like your time?
Yeah, I just felt like we went with our time because, as you mentioned earlier, some of our downfalls going into the postseason. And I felt really good going into this year. I felt we were very prepared. I felt like, as a coach, I felt very confident in what we were doing and how we did it from everything. And that's why we use the term our time, because I thought it was our time. I thought we did everything the right way off the ice. I thought we did everything the right way on the ice. We really monitored our bodies at the end of the year, making sure that we were healthy. We were just getting our legs going. On ice execution, X and O's. I just felt like it was really everything was coming together, and obviously, there were times where it felt like maybe I missed it, but it really was what we talked about as our time, of everyone putting in their time, and now we have to be the ones that take it to the next level.
And then you go through another record-setting winning streak / point streak all the way into the playoffs, which we had a different format this year where you actually ended up in the wild card game against the Chiefs in overtime. Were there any nerves that it may have ended at that moment?
Yeah, I mean, I look at that game. We were 2.5 minutes away from our season ending. We tied it late there and then won it in overtime. And again, just so typical of who we were as a team. And again, a game I thought we played really well. We were doing everything possible. We just couldn't put the puck behind the goal line. And we were 2 minutes away from, calling it a day in our season and that being it. And then all of a sudden, in a span of about 7 minutes of playing time, you tie it, you win it, and you're on your way to the Frozen Finals. So, there was definitely nerves, but there were confident nerves. Listen, it was either going to happen or not happen. And that's, as a learning experience, you realize, you're prepared, and sometimes you're prepared and it doesn't work out, but sometimes you're prepared and it works out as you needed it to.
And that's a great transition, because the guy that basically put your team on his back to tie the game and win the game was Kyle Fulkerson, a player that can return to you this season. How quickly after, you lift the trophy and you get back home, did you sit back down with Kyle and talk about this upcoming year?
Well, I think Kyle did it on the bus ride coming home. He was a guy that by the time we got halfway home was, Coach, I'm all in. I'm back. I want to be back. What do I got to do? And it was more of a, hey, enjoy the moment. We'll take a day or two, and then we'll get you back off, ready to rock and roll. But he's a guy that we expect big things coming from. He's a player that, as you can see, can be so dynamic in what he does. And that's what we're about. But we have a lot of fresh new faces. We had a lot of players from that premier team now that are two-time champions, a premier champion and EHL champion, that are now going to get a full-time, ready to rock and roll role on our EHL team. So I'm super excited. Again, it's got that smirk on my face of, I'm excited to get the year started because I can't wait to see what this team has to offer now.
And when you talk about this upcoming team, obviously your recruiting has been able to change over the years. I know it's not easy by any means, but it's probably, is it fair to say it's gotten easier as you've progressed?
I think it's gotten easier in a sense because we know what players we want to go after now, right? We know what players we like to identify, and we know how to word and really explain the process. And then I think it's easier because the proof continues to be in the pudding, not only for our team, but our league is just we continue to commit guys and say what we're going to do. So for us, it's been easy to say, hey, if you want to get somewhere here, we've done it. Here's your path. Here's your plan. And then add in a championship there. There's no doubt it's made it a little bit easier in conversations to say we've now climbed that plateau and gotten to the top there with some of the other coaches in this league and teams in the league. So to be able to put ourselves on that has been super helpful as well.
And you talk about the commitments as well there, 8 your first 2 years in the EHL, 14 and then 12 so far this year, plus the championship. What's the next goal? What's the next bar that you want to get to?
I think it's just continuing to make sure that we hit that rate of being really high with our players that are in their final year. I think that's the one that really excites me. Obviously, the total number excites me. But we've always been a mixed team, right? A team that has had probably half of age out players and half not. So our number is always going to be hovering in that 12 range. And that's the goal every year. Make sure our players who commit to coming to us in that final year of their eligibility, we make sure they have a chance to be on a fall campus in for college coming in the fall. So for us, that's been the biggest thing. I think the next step for us is just continuing the tradition and now being able to operate with that in our mind. We're a championship team now. We're able to commit players. Now where else can we take this thing? Where can we make this now the next step? And can we put ourselves in the market of being a team that consistently does it every year, as some teams have done already in our league? We want to now go into that range.
Yeah, it's huge. And now as we head into our 10th season as a league, what will be your 5th year in the EHL, a fun thing that we're going to do this summer throughout as we go team by team, we're going to highlight the top 10 players in each franchise's history. Last year, we did the all-time teams. This year, they're narrowing it down just to the top 10. So to put you on the spot and make you have to name just one, is there one player in 87's history that we have to start our list with?
Man, that is a very difficult question. Certainly putting me on the spot. There's quite a few in the local market that come to my house still. So if I don't name them, they may be upset. There's a lot in that question there. But if I had to name one all time, I think for me, man, that is a very difficult question. I don't even know. I would have to go with probably I'd go with Tim DeBoard just because he's an all-time games played leader, right?
Okay.
And someone that to us, when you have that stat, that's special to us. That means you wore the jersey the most. You feel very confident. So I guess I would start with him as a guy that, he literally blood, sweat, and tears for our organization, and someone that, came from outside, didn't know who we were. We had to truly recruit to bring here. And, hopefully for him, he feels like it was the best decision of his life.
And I think the rest of the players will understand that. A lot of them will be on this list as well. So let's put you on the spot one more time then before I let you go. You used the hashtag our time last year. What's the hashtag this year?
That's a good question. I'm a big one of that. To us, it's going to be run it back. Our goal is to be back. Our goal is to be where we were. And now we want to just run it back as an organization and as a team. So we're going to go with that this year as our mantra and as our tagline. And the goal is to run it back. And hopefully you'll be asking me that question next year. Is that, Coach, you finally ran it back. How do you feel? So that's the goal right now.
I love it. So thank you for coming on the podcast and kicking off these summer interviews for us.
Awesome. Appreciate it, Thanks, bud.
Thanks again to Adam Houli for coming on the podcast this week, kicking off our summer Team of the Week features with a great interview and already dropped the hashtag for next year as well. So let's bring in the E crew now. And guys, Adam Houli says, or Anthony, last year it was our time. This year coming up, get ready to use hashtag run it. Oh, do you want a drum roll?
Yeah, I'm drum roll.
Okay. Hashtag run it back.
Hashtag run it back.
I like it.
So,
everyone who had that, you get 500 points. If you didn't, if they win it next year and try and do it.
One mistake I guess I've made here is not bringing Chris on this podcast also, because myself, Lauren, and Jeff could just get off and Chris and Anthony could do this whole podcast for us.
I thought that would have been an idea.
Hey, we could all use a little bit of Chris's dry humor in our lives.
Are we all
quotes?
Yes. Are we all recovered from the finals now? It's been a month.
About a month. It's been a month exactly, right? Championship Sunday was April.
Hey, I
3rd.
finally did my sappy season end Instagram post, so we're good. We're surviving.
Yeah, I haven't had the need to touch a cough drop in the last month, so I can say that much.
Thought of you when I went to Target the other day, Anthony re-upped. So I was like, oh, I gotta get a new bag after that finals week.
After I took all of yours.
Yes.
I was using them too, man.
Should have asked me. I had a bunch of them. I was pounding them every day too.
You were holding out.
Cough drop city.
So I'm pretty
I was
sure
on the broadcast too. I needed them.
I'm pretty sure on episode 116, I said that we were going to take a 2-week break. It turned out to be a 4-week break.
Hey, we had a couple of combines in there.
We took a 2-week break.
Yes. Yeah. 2-week break times 2. But we had the 2 combines, Jeff, as you mentioned. Yeah. And yeah, just ready now that we're in May, to turn things over for this upcoming season, the 22-23 season, which of course is the 10th year of the EHL. Released the logo earlier this week that we're going to be putting on the back of all the helmets, and kind of crazy to think that we're already in season number 10. It's season number 8 technically for the EHLP. And what
old?
Yeah, right. And this is season, I think, number 6 for the 87's now. They're fifth. Yeah. They're 5th in the EHL. So, but as we do every summer, or especially Jeff and I, we've done this the last few summers. We go team by team throughout the summer. And last summer, when we went team by team, we put together the all-time team. So now, to make things even tougher for us, we're going to take the all-time teams we put together last summer and narrow them down to just 10 players. So for some organizations, this is going to be really hard. For others, we only have, 2 or 3 years to go off of it, and maybe a little bit easier because of that. But as I asked Adam Hooley at the end of the interview, put him on the spot I asked him to start with one player, and I know he's going to get a lot of crap for not saying other names, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I think he answered it very well by saying that I'll go with the guy who wore the jersey more times than anybody else, and that's Tim DeBoard, right? So That's a great
Mr. 87.
That's a great place to start. And I have the all-time team that Jeff and I put together last summer for us pulled up. We need 9 other guys. And we admit right now, first episode of the summer, there are going to be some upset players that are not happy with us.
This happened to us last year. Remember when we tweeted everything out and posted everything on Instagram, Facebook? Everyone's like, hey, immediately the comments were like, so-and-so. And we're like, guys, there's only so many spots. Just like there's only, so many spots on a team, and only so many Division 1 and Division 2 colleges.
And I feel like this first episode is going to be hard for me too, because I wouldn't be surprised if I have some guys contacting me saying, what the hell, man?
Oh, that's a guarantee.
Being with the team from day one.
Chris might have lucked out not being on this because nobody will reach out. They'll just go through you.
I feel like I luck out because I'm new, so they can't really go off on me too hard.
You can use that excuse. That's for sure.
You know more, Lauren, though. It's year 2, so watch out.
Finish your rookie season.
Yes. Can we address the elephant in the room, Anthony? I'm not sure how you're going to take this one, but I know the 87's won the championship this year. On paper, though, you could maybe make the case that the previous year's team was better than this year's team.
Yeah. So I brought this up with Neil right before we started recording that even though this year's team just won the championship, individually, there's so many players beforehand that were probably better and deserve to be in that top 10. Like,
Yeah.
A lot of firepower.
Tim DeBoer leads, all time in points. Dante Taramani,
Unbelievable.
another player who recorded over 100 points for this 87's team. Zach Tarantino, Andrew Maynard. Maynard played a couple of games in the North American Hockey League, as did Jack Lane. And right off the bat, you have 5 forwards. The top 5 scores. None of them played on that championship team this past season.
Which I think is a credit to that team too, right? I mean, you have, like you just said, 9 guys are averaged over a point per game in their careers. 87. Swain, Yasuda, Belinsky, Leha, Lane, Maynard, Tarantino, Taramani, and DeBoer. And you just said it. I think none of those guys were on the championship team, and just goes to show you don't always need that massive firepower to win a championship. Sometimes it is the scrappier grinder type guys, the Kyle Fulkersons. They're not going to pot you 30, 40 goals a year, but they're going to score when you need it most. And Owen Haynes, and the goalies are going to be kind of interesting. I feel like we have 3, 4 goalies.
Well, and we don't have to. This doesn't have to be by position, right? So last year we did this, Jeff. We kind of were locked in to a certain number of forwards and D and goalies. We technically could just go out and pick 10 forwards if we wanted to. If those are the top 10 players in team history. So we have Tim DeBoer so far, who, as I mentioned, 3 seasons with the 87's. I mean, I don't know if anyone comes close to 120 games that he played, plus the 135 for points. I think it's obvious then staying right there at the top, Dante Taramani, a former Rookie of the Year and MVP, also in the 100-point club, gives us 2 guys so far.
Yeah, and Neil, I just want to add real quick. Well, you said it could technically be anybody. The mindset that I made a preliminary list last night. And my mindset was either maybe 5 forwards, 3 defensemen, and 2 goaltenders, or maybe 6 forwards, 2 defensemen, and 1 goalie. Either way, it's going to be hard. I feel like we should at least give recognition for each position.
Okay.
And you could probably, for the 87's, you could probably get away with having mostly forwards because they were such an offensive-minded team. Still are. But we've had some really good defensemen, too, that I think deserve some recognition.
Yeah, I think Captain Herrick's got to go in there, right? And he put up points and was a leader in the.
I would definitely put Matt Herrick in there. And then the question is, who else do you put? Trevor Seer, maybe, who was another captain. I say
great.
I'd have to put in Tim Lazowski. Not only was he a great defenseman, he's probably one of the smartest players that has ever put on an 87's uniform, whether it's hockey IQ or also off the ice.
Timofey.
Yeah. Well, let's put Herrick in so far, and that gives us 3. Yeah. This is hard already. Was this already a bad idea for the summer, guys?
No, this is fun. Neil, you have to have some conflict. I mean, hell, like that's why
we started this podcast to stir the pot.
Yeah, with the scheduling.
Right?
Oh my god.
Oh, it's already back. Episode.
You know what, Anthony? We're almost at scheduling time. You're going to be a part of it this summer. You know that?
Yes,
because I'm not going under the bus.
Someone else under the bus.
Yes, I'm not going under the bus by myself.
But someone on the bus, under the bus.
Yes, I have 3 forwards.
They're going to leave me off the bus if I come up with the schedule.
You can take the Lumberjacks.
You have to hitchhike with the Lumberjacks again.
There it is.
Great minds think alike. There you go.
I got 3 forwards highlighted here next in Zach Tarantino, Andrew Maynard, and Jack Lane. I don't think we would be wrong to include all 3 of those on this list.
No, there were 3 of those guys we mentioned were point per game players in their career.
And here's, but here's the thing too. Before we write them all down, like do we
put that in pencil, Neil? Put that in pencil.
Do we include all of them, or do we maybe save room for, I don't know, Jason Atkinson or Matt Zdanowicz? And while they did not put up the regular season totals like Maynard, Lane, and Tarantino, Atkinson was the Frozen Finals MVP. Matt Zdanowicz was a beast in the postseason. Mm-hmm. I don't have him on my preliminary list, but Ever Schneider is the all-time leader in goals in the Frozen Finals with 3. So do you just go by regular season totals, or do you also include maybe playoff totals? You brought up Kyle Fulkerson before. He only played a half season with the 87's, so unfortunately, I don't think he would make the cut, even though he scored that overtime goal or those 2 goals to beat the Connecticut Chiefs.
Hashtag folk hero.
Yep. I mean, personally,
I snuck that in an interview. It went over well.
It was so good. I mentioned that a few times during our podcast. That was so good, Anthony. No, I think you bring up a great point, dude. I absolutely agree with you that, I mean, because look, like you said, without Atkinson and Schneider, without those guys, you don't get the championship. You don't get, so regular season stats they count for something, but I think it doesn't need to be. I don't think we have to put all these guys that have scored 80, 90, 100 plus points. And you guys can tell me otherwise, but I'm totally fine with putting some guys in there that had some memorable moments and some memorable goals in the playoffs, and maybe just didn't put up as many regular season accolades.
And then do you also consider how they're doing in college now?
That too.
Because the EHL is a development league where our goal is to get players to the collegiate level. So is that I feel like this is something we probably should discuss beforehand. The exact criteria.
Well, that's what I was just going to ask you too.
There's so many different angles that we can approach this.
Yeah, I think it's best to build the 10 and then debate.
Cut down.
Yes. No, not really cut down.
Build
right?
10.
Build 10 that we think are strong candidates, and then as we work our way maybe down the point totals, we get to some of those names that Anthony mentioned.
And we squeeze one in, delete one, add one.
Correct.
Do we get to do honorable mentions like we do receiving votes?
Okay. No.
Did we do that last year?
No.
Actually, Neil, since Anthony just asked, I forget, in the past, the last couple of summers, did we account for like their call? I think we did just what they did with the organization, right? Because it's I
think we factored in a little bit of college as well.
Yeah.
But
it has to be more what you did in the EHL, because it's the EHL all such and such team, not
yes.
As much as we love all the colleges
but maybe the college careers can be a tiebreaker at times.
Okay.
So right now I just have 6 guys circled, right? If you want to continue down this path, so we can just fill the final 4 spots, I would put Trevor Seer here for now.
And this 10 is including goaltenders, we said?
I think we get to the goaltenders in a second, after. Right?
Yeah.
Like my initial 10, I add Trevor Seer to make 7. I add Kei Yasuda to make 8. I add George Wiener to make 9.
Georgie's gonna hate me.
Anthony's gonna miss you.
Georgie's gonna hate me, but I would put Tim Lazowski there.
Well, okay,
because Tim Lazowski was another guy from day one. He also has a really funny story about how he got onto the 87's.
Let's hear the story.
Story time.
So this was I want to say the summer of 2017 when they were first coming up with the team, and they hang on, I just want to make sure I'm pretty sure he did play in the premier team that first year.
Yes, he did.
Okay, so summer of 2017, I believe Tim had actually missed the tryouts for the 87's, and he was in contact with Matt Kiernan and said, okay, we can still arrange a date for you to skate with us. And I remember Tim telling me, I think the last season he was with us, he was like, my tryout was basically skating just one-on-one with Matt while like the 10 or 11 U team was practicing on the other end of the ice. He's like, so I was skating with a bunch of like 10-year-olds in Middletown.
He probably looked pretty good.
Yeah, well, I don't think he was playing. I don't think he was playing against them. I think the way he said it seemed like it was just him and Matt Kiernan on one side of the ice while the kids were playing on the other end. He's like, that was essentially my tryout, and from then on, like he was just dominant. And he probably didn't put up world-beating stats like some other high-scoring defensemen in the league, but again, just a smart hockey player, reliable in his own end. He could ramp up the physicality if necessary, and definitely the best two-way defenseman I've seen for the 87's.
Okay.
He was that good.
Now, quick comment about
Best
one-on-one.
tryout story too.
Yes, quick comment about one-on-one. You can do it in basketball. I don't know if I've ever seen one-on-one hockey, but maybe that's a good new overtime format that I can propose.
Okay.
That would be
When I mean one-on-one, I don't. When I mean no, hang on. When I say one-on-one, I don't mean scrimmaging against Matt Kiernan.
I know.
I just.
I know. I'm just having fun with this. So hold on. I want to get to Tim in a second. Then, if I was just rounding this thing out right now, I would put Matt Zdanowicz in here next, right? So now that puts us at the 10 names right there. Now it's a matter of taking those 10 and saying, is there anybody that should be on this list that can replace somebody? So for Anthony, he's saying Tim. And other names that we can think about are Atkinson. We haven't even talked about goalies yet, right?
I was going to say Atkinson, Schneider, who Anthony mentioned with the big playoff totals.
I have to copy and paste. I would have spelled that wrong.
Everett Schneider?
No, Tim, like Tim's name. Everett Schneider. Crazy stat I didn't even realize. Schneider, 65 total games played, 4 PIMs.
Ooh, he is
4.
Who is that? Was that Wilkinson we did last year from the old Oilers?
Alex, yes. Alex Wilkinson. Remember that?
And you want to know what the crazy thing is? You want to know what the crazy thing too is with Schneider only having 4 penalty minutes is that he played a fierce game. He was like Atkinson and Ben Gibbons. I mean, those three are up the firehouse line last season.
Wait.
Where they played
why the firehouse line?
Well, because they lived together in an apartment in Elberon, which was right next to a firehouse.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if there was a deeper meaning to that.
Yeah, no, because before Chris came along, sometimes I'd go to the Elberon train station, which is right next to the apartment, and they would take me down to Jersey Shore Arena where I broadcast their games.
Got it. Okay.
But
so
yeah, they live right next to a firehouse. That's where that nickname came from.
Does Schneider have the resume in the EHL to replace somebody on this list? Because we've already taken Tim We've already taken Tim Lazowski and put him in place of George Wiener. We have no goalies so far, right? We have 7 forwards, 3D, but you don't have to have a goalie, right?
Really?
You don't have to, but
I feel like we got to get at least one.
Jon Kopak, 3 seasons with the 87's. Jeremy Connor, 4 seasons, 3 seasons. He's the all-time leader in wins in the EHLP.
No, I think you had it right. 4 seasons, right? 2 with the P and 2 with the EHL.
Oh,
hold on.
So between Kopak, Connor, Jerzak, and Haynes, we got to get at least one.
There you go.
2 of them.
2 each. Anthony is correct. Jeremy Connor's the all-time leader in wins in the EHLP, right? Haynes, I would say
that photo of him raising the trophy. That's awesome. Shout out to Dan Hickling.
You haven't been on EP in a while, then, Anthony. Every single guy has a photo like that.
Yeah,
except for Hudson Houli. I don't know if you've built an EP for him yet. But maybe, hey, you know what?
That'll be his post-game press conference picture with Dan.
Hey, when he tears up the preschool league, look out.
We could put him in this list, right?
Huds.
Yes.
But pregame talks with the goalies and the Nucks, that goes a long way.
We mentioned Kopak, Connor, Dalton Jerzak. That was their very first year in the EHL. Yeah. Owen Haynes could come back. Ian Greif. I mean, is there a goalie that had a career worthy enough of taking somebody off this list? That's why I wanted to build the 10 and then create the controversy by especially somebody else.
I'm not going to include him in this list, but out of all the goaltenders, Tanner Beals is the one who scored a goal.
Oh, geez.
I don't
know if he's going to make the list for just scoring.
I'm blanking on this. When was this an empty net goal?
I was like, was this a one-on-one with Matt Kiernan and Toronto?
No. Wait, hang on. No, I remember. It was a game against the Philadelphia Little Flyers in Aston. and it was a delayed penalty. Philadelphia had pulled their goaltender.
Oh, yes.
And it was a 2-on-1 rush. Tanner Beals made a blocker save, but it looked like the shot had gone wide. It ringed around the glass. It went to the Flyers bench, and a player tried to send it back to their defenseman, but the pass is off the mark and went all the way down into the empty net. Now, I was watching the game on Hockey TV. I pulled that clip aside. I zoomed in on my video editor like I do for the replays that I post on social media, and I can see the puck changing directions. So I posted on Twitter, I said, Tanner made the save on that. He should get the goal. And everyone on social media, the Titans coach of the Null team, Craig Doremus, even said on Twitter, come on, at EHL, give him the goal. I think I convinced Justin Friedman, who's doing the stats, to correct it and put that goal in. So Beals became the only person he's the first goaltender in 87's history to get credit for a goal.
Does that put him in the top 10?
No.
Probably not.
Just a fun story
Cool
for the
nugget.
podcast.
I would say you make the show. You made the segment.
Back to names like Everett Snyder, right? Jason Atkinson, Matt Anastasio, Devlin O'Kane. Is there another name on here? Matt Belinsky? Is there another name on here that can replace somebody on this list, or is this our list?
Say Schneider played, 65 games, 37 points. But like we said, he's more because of his playoff prowess that he had. This is tough.
I made the font bigger so you guys can see it now.
Appreciate
it. Dylan Gutierrez is another one too for a T-man.
Yeah.
That was another big name I remember that contributed a lot.
Neil, if there's one goaltender that I think deserves to go in, it would be Jon Kopak.
Okay.
Go back over Connor. Interesting.
But over who on this list? This is what makes it fun. These are all kids that, have moved on to, right? Like a few of these are actually UMass Dartmouth commitments. Maybe that's a whole separate episode, 87's UMass Dartmouth pipeline, because there's like 7 of those guys.
It'll be the SUNY Brockport episode we do next summer. After this next season when it's just all EHL guys.
We will do the SUNY Brockport episode leading up to our All-Star game against SUNY Brockport during the season. Make that note.
Excellent.
That's coming in October.
God, I got way too much going on before that.
There are too many rounds of golf that need to be played before that, Jeff.
Yeah, rounds of golf and lots of other important things in our lives. Or October, it's May. Let's just cruise the summer right by.
I'm looking at this list right now, and this seems like a real solid top 10. I have a hard time taking out any guys.
It just feels weird.
You know what's gonna be great too is when we do post this, they're gonna read it in this order. They being the players, right?
This is like 1 through 10.
Yes, someone will take exception, even if they're on this list, for the fact that
it's 10.
That they're like 7 and not 5. You know what I mean?
So we have to write in stars. This is not a chronological order. This is not who's better, who's worse. This is just how we wrote it in.
Anthony's so torn right now. He hates this.
I feel like we have to defer to Anthony for the final votes.
Do you want to call in a lifeline? Call in Chris?
No. I'll be fine. Well, because one thing I'm thinking about is potential, and this would seem insane, maybe taking Kei Yasuda off the list. And my only reason is because he also accomplished a lot with the Connecticut Chiefs before coming to the 87's. I mean, he put up monster numbers with the
league in scoring.
I know. That's the thing, though.
I know he's had a point in like every game last year. He was, or 2 years ago. Wow. No,
or do you take out Trevor Seer? But Trevor Seer was a great leader for this team, and he was one of those guys where Seer would volunteer his time working as the scorekeeper, the cameraman for the EHLP games. He's a guy that would always love to be, or would always want to be at the rink.
Who are the 1 or 2 guys you're chewing on with replacing him with, Anthony? You think? Are you taking Kopak? Are you thinking another D-man forward?
I mean, we already have some D-men in there, so I think it would have to be a goaltender.
Yeah, I just feel weird not putting any of those guys on there. They were all friggin' goalie love. I feel like I'm Tyler Arago here. I never played goalie, but I love my goalies, you know?
Oh, you guys tell me. I like these 10. I think this is the 10. And if Zdanowicz asks why he's listed as number 10, we can just say because it begins with a Z, alphabetical order. even though the rest are clearly not in alphabetical order.
Why?
Put Katie Suda right above Zdanowicz.
I'll get sniffed out real quick.
Kaya Suda is at Connecticut College now. So just to rip through some of those, right? So you got DeBoard and Taramani together at Lawrence. Matt Herrick going off to St. A's. Zach Tarantino at UMass Dartmouth. I know that was a new name
change.
Right there, right?
Zach Zarantino.
Andrew Maynard basically went to Tufts because of his performance in the All-Star College Series against the college teams. Like, he was an absolute man. Actually, you know what I have to do here, Anthony? I have to go like this. I have to go Andrew
Moose.
I have to go Moose. Jeff, are you in my brain right now?
I'm in your brain.
So you're in my brain.
Yeah, I'm in your brain.
Jack Lane at Wilkes, Trevor Seer at UMass Dartmouth, Kaya Studa, as I mentioned, at Connecticut College. Tim I don't think he went off to college, but he's back playing in Europe. And then Matt Zdanowicz, also UMass Dartmouth.
That's right, because Lazowski's from where, like Belarus or something?
Belarus, yes.
Belarus.
Yeah.
I thought he went to a college, just not a D3 school, because I think his older brother has a PhD at MIT.
Same.
Ooh.
I think in engineering. Yeah, like that whole family, Tim included, just like so intelligent.
I'm good with this
translated to the ice.
Yeah. I'm good with this list. I like it. And Jeff earlier mentioned, did you call him Tim DeBoard Mr. 87? Is that what you said?
No, I thought you quoted Adam Houli on that.
Yes. But I think Jack Lamb would take exception to that as well, right? Because he was another guy that
scored the first ever goal for
the
organization.
Who was that again?
I think I might have said it just because he's played the most games in 87's history with 110 games played for Mr. DeBoard.
Is that a lot?
Yeah, that's pretty good. It's pretty good for Brand.
Tim DeBoard scored his 50th goal in his 100th career game with the 87's.
God, I remember symmetry
that.
like that.
I have also can I just shoehorn one more funny story with Zach Tarantino?
Sure.
The
whole point of the summer podcast, Anthony, are funny stories.
Story time.
Yes.
So my favorite story regarding Zach Tarantino, and I want to say it's from the 2019-2020 season when the 87's were still playing in Middletown. Now the scorers table was connected to the bench where you could walk, between those areas. And for EHLP games, he would always work as the scorekeeper. Granted that the 87's EHL team wasn't on the road. And he became very familiar with the scorekeeping. He'd also ref the beer league games. This guy can work like so many different jobs in hockey. I would let him be my color commentator if he wanted to. But there was one EHL game where it was, I want to say 4-on-4 or maybe a 4-on-3 power play. Somebody scored a goal and they're trying to take the penalties off the clock, or I think they want to put the penalty time back on. And the EHLP guys who were volunteering with the scorekeeping didn't know what to do with the scoreboard. So Zach Tarantino, in full gear, takes off his gloves, walks into the scorers table, and he's just operating the scoreboard. I was tapping the shoulder of the guy working the camera. I think it was Ian Weiss. I'm like, let's get a close up. There you see Zach Tarantino in full gear operating the scoreboard. He can do it all. And I just think it epitomized how much he loves the game, how much he loves being at the rink, and just helping out, whether it's a player, a scorekeeper, a ref. And it's not just Tarantino. I saw a lot of that from guys like Trevor Seer. Devlin O'Kane did a lot of work with the camera this year. Jeffrey Oker from the EHLP team. And that's one of my favorite parts working with the 87s, guys who are always at the rink and they can just help out in any capacity. And these aren't just guys who are trying to stay relevant because they're like fringe guys on the fourth line or third pairing. These are your leading scorers. Like Zach Tarantino is top 3, top 4 all time in scoring with the team.
Yep.
So
in full gear.
Yeah.
Great story. We'll have more of those stories as this summer progresses,
all summer long,
because
the heat gets hotter.
We've had players have to drive the Zamboni, right? We've had that has happened in the past, right? We've had coaches. We've had coaches have to do that. Were you at that showcase, Jeff? When Eric Lynn from the Rough, Aiden Parker was this year for the Express. Eric Lynn from the Rough Riders drove the Zamboni once too, right? That was a wild show. But we'll save those for the future podcast. But
yes,
I think we're gonna go with this list as is. So let me read it off so everyone hears it one more time. The top 10 all time for the New Jersey 87s, and I'm gonna ask Anthony one more question. Tim DeBoard, Dante Taramani, Matt Herrick, Zach Tarantino, Andrew Maynard, Jack Lane, Trevor Seer, Kay Asuda, Tim Lazowski, and Matt Zadanowicz. Now, Anthony, for the final question to wrap up this episode, who is the first text that you're going to get from when we post this? Who's the first former player that's going to text you and be like, what the hell, man? Who do you think it's going to be? Everest Snyder?
Yeah, maybe Everest. I feel like George Weiner might say something.
Yeah, okay. So more than one.
Yeah, but if there are any like former 87s listening, just gotta say like this is not easy. And one thing I will say too, I think it really is a testament to the organization, to Adam Houli, Matt Kiernan, all the coaches and the players. The fact that there is so much talent where it is hard to choose.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's a team that hasn't been around as long. I mean, I know they're starting to get up there now, but
wait until we get to the original teams. The teams that have been in since the EHL was formed in 2013, right? The teams like the Rangers, the Little Flyers, the Apple Corps,
Walpole Express.
Man, those are going to be tough episodes because 10 is not a big number. You know what? You know what's going to be easier for us is the 20th anniversary. That'll be a little bit easier at that point, right? What was that?
Oh, that was just my security system. I think my fiance is leaving the house.
Oh, okay. I thought we had a fifth voice there for a second. I didn't know what that was, right?
Yeah, that's Siri security Siri.
I think mine does that too, but I may have that turned off. That'd be fun to listen to.
Yeah, I gotta turn that one off for the next step. Sorry, crew.
But we're gonna do one of these every single week throughout the summer. Obviously, for some of the new teams that are coming in, we won't be able to pick top 10, right? But for the teams that have existed since the league was formed, that'll make it even tougher for us. So we start off the year with the New Jersey 87s. Round 2, week 2, if you will feature the East Coast Wizards, who are almost an original team. They'll have let's see.
I feel like they are.
They'll have 8 of the 9 years to go off of. So we'll start doing our research for that one.
Sounds good. Can't wait. Go Wizzies.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, man.
Thanks for listening to The E-Show. Learn more at easternhockeyleague.org and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Also, be sure to subscribe and get notified when next week's podcast is released.